Producers Max Bielstock and Leo Bloom make money by producing a surefire flop in 1968's comedy classic, The Producers.
It's so simple. Step one, we find the worst play in the world, a surefire flop.
Springtime for Hitler.
Step two, I raise $1 million. And a lot of little old ladies in the world. I love you.
What?
I love you! Step three, you go back to work on the books. Only lists of backers, one for the government, one for us.
Just for clarity, I am not reviewing the new version of The Producers, which is actually more of a adaptation of the stage performance of The Producers, which is generally more musical. There's more musical numbers in it. This version, 1968, starring Zero Mostel, Gene Wilder, and is directed and written by Mel Brooks, is the same story, and the stage production is still an adaptation of Mel Brooks' work, but this version is different. It's less of a musical, although there are musical numbers in it, and the show that they're producing is a musical, and it still includes some of the songs such as "Springtime for Hitler," which has become kind of like a landmark song. But it is in many ways different from the newer version of it, and I think the most important difference of it is that this one is actually good. Uh-oh. What's going on? Take that. When people think Mel Brooks, usually the movie that they go to first is either Blazing Saddles or Young Frankenstein. The Producers, although I think many people are aware that Mel Brooks wrote it, I guess somehow they're just not as aware of this movie, which is earlier than, Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein they were both made in 1974 or 75. And this was in 1968, so Mel Brooks was still a relative new face that was just becoming accepted, but it has a lot of similarities to those two movies, so it's really exciting if you have seen those two movies, which, like Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles, I think a lot of people have seen in their childhood, being shown by their parents or whatever. It's one of those movies that's, it's just extremely timeless, and an audience will get it, no matter what age, generation you come from. It's really timeless kind of comedy. Another thing that's in common with these three movies is Gene Wilder, who was also a very relative newcomer in movies. He had a small part in Bonnie and Clyde the year before, in 1967, which was kind of, it was a very good part, but again, it wasn't a push for Gene Wilder, and this movie was really a great push for him. He really kind of stole the show. He was Academy Award nomination for this particular role, and he has this great personality of like a nervous wreck who you always have heart for him. There's something about him that you care for him, you love him. He's really it's one thing to have great technique as an actor, but it's another thing to have great charisma and great personality. And Gene Wilder is really one of those greats in terms of that. Not to mention Zero Mostel, who was a living legend even at that time, particularly now. Did such movies as A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, and he had this style of just playing the crook who's trying to get that get rich quick kind of guy, who was always a coward when confronted by someone who was bigger than him. But it's perfect casting. They have great chemistry, and if you notice, there's a lot of actors who Mel Brooks uses all the time, and just tremendous casting of even the bit parts. There's not a dull moment in the movie. It's really and there's a certain world that you're kind of put into. It's one of those movies where you really know where you are, and it's kind of described as it's a ride. It's a terrific ride. So I really have nothing but great things to say about it. I don't think it's necessarily an underrated comedy classic, but I do think that it's considerably less has less notoriety than say Blazing Saddles or Young Frankenstein. So I want to know how you thought about The Producers. How did it compare to movies such as Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein? Or I'm kind of presuming that many of you have even seen that, which I think most people have. But also, what are your thoughts in comparing it to the remake, the new one, and even comparing it to the stage production of it, there are differences, whether you believe me or not. And if you don't, you're more than welcome to challenge me. And that's pretty much it.
Starring Zero Mostel.
Oh! I want that money!
Co-starring Gene Wilder.
My blanket! My blue blanket! Give me back my blue blanket!